Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Coach's Clinic, and I am your host, JJ Martin. And of course, this is through Golden Home Fitness. So what we're going to do today is go through more corrective and restorative exercises, but we're going to focus more on the self-myofascial release techniques. So this will be the last session we do this before we move on to a different topic. But I wanted to, of course, address the common dysfunctions and malalignments that are found throughout your body, but we're going to do so by using various tools, right? So before we did use some of the foam roller and sports balls, but we're going to broaden that horizon a bit. So we're going to demonstrate by using these various tools. And I also want to explain the importance of using these tools, as well as just the importance of doing self-myofascial release. Now, the tools that we're going to need, now it's okay if you don't have all these, that's fine. I just wanted to give you some examples of what you can do with each of these tools, even if you have one of them. But we will be using the massage gun or percussion gun later on. We have a therapeutic or trigger point cane that you can use. They come in different shapes there. We're going to use a kettlebell. You can even use a dumbbell too, something that has a little bit more weight, and I'll show you how we can use that later on, of course. The tried and true foam roller, whether it be the full 36-inch, you hit the smaller ones are just as good. We're going to use sports balls, so whether it be like a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, you can even use a golf ball if you want. And you'll notice that we even have a different, much larger size ball too, which really is targeting, supposed to be for the self-myofascial release. So whatever you have can work there. Massage sticks can be a very useful tool, especially on the go. I know runners like to use these. I have brought one when I would go play soccer, just have it in my bag so I can quickly roll up my calves. So these can be very useful. And let's see, I think that's all the tools we need for today. But of course, the most important is going to be water. You want to make sure that you do hydrate yourself throughout any type of self-myofascial release session. So, or any workout for that matter. But if you don't have any of these tools, or you want to build on to what you do have, you can visit our website at goldenhomefitness.com. You can visit our shop page through that website, and you'll have access to any of these pieces of equipment, for purchase. So feel free to do that when you have a chance. But we will start going through the most simplest tool that you can use, and that's going to be your fingers, right? Your fingers, your hands, just your body itself. And I want to start from the ground up when we work on these areas, starting with your foot. Now you can do this barefoot, you can do this with socks if you like, but we're going to start by massaging your foot, just using your fingers and your hands. And definitely it's nice to give particular attention to the midfoot, the arch of the foot, but it's not the only place. But what we're going to do is just using your thumbs, right, to just gently slide up your foot. Hopefully you can see that. Just slide up the foot and even slow it down. And we are probing for those trigger points, right, those knots. Once you find one, you're going to keep pressure on that spot until you can start to feel, it might be painful, so once you start to feel that subside, then it's time to move on to another location, like I can find one right here. So this is good. Always want to breathe through, right? Nice relaxing breaths so that you can allow the tissue to release. And it's one thing to think about, this isn't just a muscle massage. Okay, it's not just a muscle massage, because what we're trying to work on also is the fascial or connective tissue that's throughout the body. And what this will do, I'm going to switch to the other foot now. When we target that fascial connective tissue, what we're doing is helping that tissue to function better, because this tissue helps hold everything in your body together. It's interwoven throughout your body, through the muscles, your organs, etc. And if that tissue is sticky, what's going to happen is you're going to feel like there's a limitation in your movement, right? Because that tissue needs to be able to glide and and be more lubricated. But if that's lacking, it's the cells are dehydrated, what have you, it's going to be a lot stickier, and you're going to find a decrease in range of motion and ability to move. So again, we're going to continue here using our fingers, and that's good right there. Of course, with any type of self-myofascial release, focusing on a particular area for up to 2 minutes is fine, whatever you can tolerate. I wouldn't go any longer than that. Especially don't go too intense because you might end up overstressing the tissue. So, no more than 2 minutes and at a pressure that you can tolerate. So next thing we'll do is work on the calves. So you can do this sitting in a chair as well. I'm on the floor as you can see, but you can do this on a chair. And I'm going to cross one leg over the other. And just very easily, you're just going to grab the calves just like I'm doing right here. And you can even use your hands differently. You can use like the butt of your hands or the side of your hands to kind of push through in both directions. And you find one of those spots, hold it right there, breathe through, get that release. Good, good. So now the self-myofascial release techniques, okay, massage techniques, what they do is they apply pressure to the areas that may be restrictive, and we're trying to do that so that we can get some relief. I'm going to switch legs here. Get relief, for whatever tension that you might be experiencing in that area, and that will also help to improve flexibility, right? Because you have that ball of tension in that muscle or that fascial tissue, and once you can get that to release, now it's going to lengthen, and of course, you're going to get better movement after that. And applying stretches right after you do any type of massage, including self-massage, is going to help give you even more benefit because you're now trying to lengthen that tissue that you're able to get to release. So you can even use your knuckles, right? Make a fist and push down. That will help you apply more pressure if you need to apply more pressure. But let's go ahead. We're going to move on to the next area, and this is going to be the chest, okay, or the pecs. And the target here is going to be just below the collarbone, okay, the clavicle, but above the nipple line, right? So it's going to be the upper pectoral, and using your fingers, just going to press and push out towards the shoulder. You can even bring it back in too. Again, let's look for those knots. They go by different names: knots, adhesions, trigger points, right? Tender spots. But hopefully you get the point. And you can even isolate a particular area. I like to do circles sometimes, all right, just to kind of mix up the direction of the pressure I'm applying, especially around a particular trigger point. But again, just below the collarbone, I'm going to switch to do the same for the other side. Sorry, I think I just hit the microphone. Now, it's important to understand that the fascial tissue, right, the connective tissue throughout our body, helps with the line of pull for the muscle groups, right? So, for example, with the chest, the fibers run towards the arm, and so when you can get that fascial tissue to unstick and be a little more lubricated, you're going to be able to open up your chest more, right? You're going to be able to use those muscle groups, the pecs and other assisting groups. You can use them more effectively. Moving on to the forearm. So this is an area that we don't give a whole lot of attention to, but very important because if this is really tight, that could affect the joint in the elbow, the wrist, right? So I like to either place my hands on a table, on your own leg if you're sitting, and again, you can just kind of work through using your fingers. You can push straight down as I'm doing right here. You can use the butt of your hands, right? Maybe even your fists, depending what your comfort level is. And you'll notice too, once you apply certain pressure at a particular spot, your fingers may start to curl. All right, it's because these muscles will have a direct impact on how you use your hands. So going up, going down. And after you focus on one part, you can even turn it over and also get the other. And you can squeeze. You don't necessarily just have to push down and up. You can also squeeze that area as well to try to get that release. All right, so there's different ways to go about it, as you can see. So I'm going to switch to the other side. If you feel like your watch or bracelets, in the way, just remove them. And if you are grabbing things throughout the day, strong grip for whatever your job entails or requires, this is going to be a very important area to focus on. Good. And notice how I'm going through nice and slow. But apply the kind of pressure that you feel will be best for you. And, whatever you can tolerate. If you wanted, you can either use a lotion, just like if you were getting a massage, use a lotion or an oil to help, with gliding over the surface, make it easier and more comfortable. So we're going to move on from the forearms, and we just went through a few different, I'm not going to hit every single area with each tool, but that just gave you an example of what you can do with your fingers with self-massage. So now we're going to use a sports ball, and again, if you don't have anything smaller like a lacrosse ball or racquetball, you can also use something that's a little bit larger. That's fine. But we're going to start with the foot. And we did something like this in one of the previous videos. And you can sit on the floor, you can sit in a chair to do this and apply pressure. If you want even more pressure for the bottom of your foot, you can stand up and do the same thing. But we're focusing on the midfoot. So right there where the arches are. Nice and slow as you're going up and down that area. You can even go across, right, side to side. But again, our goal, let's get those trigger points. Let's find them and sit right on top of that. I don't think I've really met anybody who doesn't have any any tender spots on the bottom of their foot. So this is going to be very important for most people. And just hang out there for a few more seconds. You can hang on there for as long as you feel like you need to. If you're finding a lot of spots, address that, absolutely. So I'm going to switch over to the other foot, and we'll do the same thing. Again, you can remain seated or standing, depending on the amount of pressure you feel comfortable applying to this area. And don't forget to breathe. It's very easy to really focus on what you're doing, but forgetting to breathe. So you have to breathe if you want those tissues to relax, if you want to get that response. Now, the fascial and connective tissues can lose their pliability, right, or their ability to to lengthen, like an elastic, right? They can lose their pliability because whether there's physical trauma to that area, right, causing an injury, or scarring of the tissues. Also, inflammation can make things a little bit more difficult to move. So just keep those things in mind. So if you had a previous injury and you notice, okay, well, it's hard for me to move in this area, it could be because of scar tissue. But there's a variety of reasons. Those are some of the key reasons. All right, I'm going to move on from the foot now, and we're going to target the calf. So with the sports ball, I didn't bring one here, but you can have a thicker textbook to help elevate this surface. Otherwise, if you're on the hard floor, like a hardwood floor, maybe tile if it's comfortable enough for you, you can just set the ball on the floor and it's the middle of your calf right on top of the ball. And you're just going to slowly shift yourself so that the calf is moving up and down on the ball. And see, now I have tendency to want to flex the ankle, right, dorsiflex. So just relax the leg. That's something I have to remind myself with too. Just because you're a fitness professional doesn't mean you know everything or you do everything perfectly all the time. I have to remind myself too. Right, we're all human, I think. So I can find those spots. Ease, whatever. If you have to ease off of your leg, right, because it's too much pressure, please do so. Right? And over time, you'll notice you'll be able to do more and more. right? And the calf, it's a large area, so don't forget to do the inside as well as the outside and even the middle. So the ball is great for pinpointing certain areas. I'm switching sides. Good, good. There we go. Good. So again, you can go across if you need to as well, right? It doesn't always have to be up and down in line with the muscle fibers. You can go across as well. Now, another reason why, and I addressed this before, but another reason why it's important to do this is because if you're losing that pliability in the fascial tissue, right, the joint range of motion will decrease. And it's important that the joints that are supposed to move well do so. And with our body being a chain of joints, we want to make sure that they all work together and that they function properly. So if we can get the muscles and the fascial tissue to function properly, then the joints will function properly. And remember, with ground reaction forces, right? When we apply force into the ground, it comes right back to us, into our body, and starts with the feet. So make sure that we do address the feet and the lower legs. We have, I believe, all the muscles in the lower leg will have an effect on the foot, right? They attach to the foot. So another reason why it's important to address like the calves, for example. All right, good. So I'm going to leave the calves alone there for a little bit, and we're going to focus on the glute complex, right? So the hips. I'm going to have you lie down for this one. And I'm just rolling to my side to allow the ball to be placed right underneath. This is my right side. So then from here, I'm going to put weight. I'm going to shift back onto that ball now. And from here, I'm just going to move around, finding those spots that need attention. Right here. And notice how I have my legs bent at the knee. So you can also straighten your leg out to work this area. I'm just going to keep my other leg bent because it's going to give me better leverage to move. But you can have both down. It's just harder to move. And if you don't feel like searching or exploring that area, you can find that one trigger point, and then you can move your leg by bending at the hip and knee and then straightening out that leg. Good way to work on those tissues by lengthening and shortening rather than just by rolling over them. So it's another way to do your myofascial techniques. Good. I'm going to switch to the other side. I know you can't see the ball, but I'm on my left side now and just exploring the area to find those adhesions, those trigger points. Now, this isn't just for the glute maximus, right? There are many other muscles that attach to the hips and that to help support the hip joint. So we're going to get some of those deeper muscles that help rotate the hip. There's also one muscle called the piriformis that if you get sciatic nerve pain, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes that piriformis muscle can be a contributing factor with the way it's pressing on the nerve. So you can also hit that area with this type of stretch. Or I feel this, definitely. Again, don't forget to breathe through. And if you find yourself tensing up, just remind yourself to try to relax. Good, so let's go ahead. We're going to shift focus away from the glute, and we're going to get now the back. We're going to get the mid-back, or upper back rather. So the shoulder blades or the scapulae, we're going to target them. So I want this ball on the floor, and you're going to place yourself so that the ball is between the shoulder blade and your spine. Never directly on the shoulder blade, never directly on the spine, but in between. So let's place that ball down, and we're just going to pick one side. If you have two of these sports balls, you can do both at the same time. All right, the spine would be right in between, of course. So right there, in between the shoulder blade and spine. Explore that area until you find a winner, right? You want to find that trigger point.
SWB audio capture not registered.
All right, hang out there. Let's see if we can breathe through it to allow it to release. I also like to get my arms in play here, so I'm bringing my arm up towards the ceiling, down past my head towards the floor, or whatever range of motion you have. Slowly returning down. You can even sweep the arm along the floor. It's a good way to kind of floss that area, right? And again, we're adjusting the length of the tissues we're targeting while applying pressure to that specific spot. Then I'm going to switch sides. Oh, that was a nice transition. Alright, so let's go ahead. You do not have to move your arm. This is just a progression from sitting on top of the ball. When in doubt, just stay on top, and move around. So you do not have to move body parts like I am here with this arm. Again, doing this anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes at most. Good, and I'm going to stop there. For many of us, we do tend to carry a lot of tension in our upper back and shoulders. So this is a great exercise to, using the ball. Great exercise for you. Let's go ahead and take a quick water break. Any type of massage, it's really good to hydrate afterwards. We are helping to improve, blood circulation through these regions, and sometimes kind of flushing out that area as well. So it's good to, stay on top of that with the water. Good work. So we went through using the fingers, the sports ball. So now we're going to use the foam roller. So this is one of the more common tools that you'll see being used. Let me put these away so they don't roll away on me. So right now I have a high density foam roller. There's so many types. You have softer, denser, harder, smaller, right? It doesn't matter. They all will be used the same way. And what we're going to do is start by getting the back of the thighs. We're going to get the hamstrings. So I'm going to sit behind the foam roller, place my mid-thighs. If you have a smaller roller, you can work one leg at a time. That's perfectly fine. But from here, I'm going to elevate myself off of the floor and roll, making sure I keep the foam roller above my knees to about just below my my glutes. And if you feel like you're not getting much pressure here, you can always cross your leg. So that way, now you're pushing more into the foam roller. You can kind of roll to the side, to the inside, right, because we have 3 muscles that make up the hamstrings. So I want to see if we can target those as best as we can. So I'm going to switch. And because I know I need more pressure, I'm again going to cross my leg. Sometimes using a roller that's a little, this is a 6-inch diameter, so even using one that might be 4 inches in diameter might be a little bit better for the hamstrings because you don't have to pick yourself up off the floor as high. And, you may not even find anything in the hamstrings, which is absolutely fine. Good. Very nice job. Very nice job. So we're going to move on to the quadriceps. This is a fun one for many of us because for many of us, the quadriceps tend to be overactive. So when you tend to work with the foam roller, it will let you know that it feels it. With the foam roller on the floor, you're going to lay so that you start in the mid-thigh right on top of the foam roller. Again, if your foam roller is smaller, you can work one leg at a time. That's absolutely fine. In fact, if you focus on one leg at a time, it will allow you to put a bit more pressure on that region. So again, do what you can tolerate. Now, I'm on my forearms and elbows. It helps me keep my my torso a little more level with the floor. You can't do this on your hands. Just watch your low back because you might end up putting too much of an arch there. And I'm just going to shift my weight to one side so that right now I have most of my pressure being applied to the right quadriceps or the front thigh. It's a large area, so get the center, get the outside, get the inside. This is a great region of the body to put a lot of attention towards. Good, rolling up and down. Again, don't forget, not just the center, but also the outside and inside of that region. Good, doing good. All right, so we're going to stop right there. And what we'll do is move a little higher up on the leg so that we're going to get in front of the hip joint. Okay, so right there in front of the hip, targeting the hip flexors. Those are the muscles that help you pick up your leg, right? Moving your knee up or bringing it forward. So let's lay down once again. And you may want to move more to the outside of the foam roller. Right, it might make it more comfortable, for half the population here. So, you're gonna stay right in front of the hip joint, and I'm working my right side right now. It looks like my left leg is off, left hip is off. It is, but my right hip, trust me, is on. But nice and slow. Let's go ahead and find that area that screams at us, right? And you may even roll a little bit more to the outside, and that's absolutely fine because we have some muscle fibers there that help you flex your hip. So find that, hang out there just like we mentioned, breathe through it so we can get that release. Doing good, doing good. And now we're going to switch over to the other side. So I'm just going to turn around. All right, same thing. Again, I like to rest on the elbow and forearm. My other hands I have here just for better leverage for me, but you're going to find what works best for you. All right, once you do this often enough, you're going to see, what's comfortable for you and what will get you into the better position. Again, I'm rolling to the outside a little bit more. And if you can, try to relax. So let's see, the leg you're working, the hip you're working, try to relax that leg as best as you can. There we go. Find that spot. Just work right through it. Very, very tight area for many of us because we sit all the time, right? Driving, sitting at your desk, sitting on your couch, when you're trying to relax from work, from sitting all day. So it's very important to allow us to get the hips to straighten out the way we need to, especially when it comes to walking, right? If your hips are feeling tight, it's going to be hard to get the type of movement you need just to walk, let alone many other activities in which you'll need to straighten out your hips for. But let's move on to the back. This will be the last region that we'll target using the foam roller. So with the foam roller on the floor, you're going to place yourself so that your mid-back, right? So roughly around like bra line. That's what's going to be on the foam roller to start. Next, I'm going to have you support. Take your fingers apart, right? They're not going to interlace, so keep them apart. But you can support your head on those fingers, elbows out wide. Then pick your hips up off the floor. I try to keep my torso in line, or not in line, but level with the floor. And then I'm going to slowly roll up towards the shoulder blades and then return it back to mid-back. Nice and slow. And then from here you can even shift weight to one side of the spine, because we have muscles that run along the spine, right? On top of the spine to the side of the spine, called erector spinae muscles, right? They help you straighten your back upright. I'm going to switch to the other side. We're gonna focus on the shoulder blade region right after this. And there's a slightly different technique that we'll use. Okay, so now from here, I'm going to keep it up in the region of the shoulder blades. So I'm going to reposition my arms. So I still am supporting my head, but the elbows will come up towards the ceiling. And that's going to allow the shoulder blades to open up and pull away from the spine, so you can get those muscles right in between the spine and shoulder blade. And trust me, if you've had a massage done from a massagist, you've probably felt them, and it's there are knots there. So it's good to kind of move along the inside of that shoulder blade while we do this. I'm going to switch over to the other side. Now remember, we did work on this area earlier with the sports ball. So foam roller is another way to work this. It's not as intense. So if you felt too much from that ball, then this is a great option to use instead. So I'm going to bring it down, hips down on the floor. All right, well done, well done. Let's go ahead and have another sip of water before we move on to our next tool. Excuse me, sometimes I forget how to drink water. All right. Doing good so far. And we're going to move on to our next tool, which will be the massage stick. Now, most massage sticks that that I would use are going to be more looking more like a stick. This is a bit textured, so this can get a different type of sensation, but can still provide the same type of benefit. And what we'll do for the first exercise is focus on the calves. And having a massage stick, again, if you play sports, it's great having these in your bag because they're very portable. So if you're sitting on the ground, sitting in a chair, I like to hold on to the stick so that the roller, of course, is behind. Let me maybe move to the side so you can see a little bit better. But we're going to get the belly of that calf. I'm on the inside to start. So again, slowly rolling down and back up. And with the stick, you're usually not going to just stay on one particular spot. You can, but usually you're going to be rolling up and down. And I'm going to move to the outside of the calf. And so this is where I'm feeling it more today. And this is one in which you can easily adjust the amount of pressure that you apply on that area. So now there is there we go, I found the spot, a relationship between, there we go, the problem areas, the malalignments or bad alignment that we see in the body, and pain. Okay, so if things are off the alignment in which they should be, you're going to feel that pain, and maybe not right away, but over time, it will eventually overstress the structure of the body or those tissues directly involved. And just because you have a pain in a particular part of the body, it doesn't mean that that's exactly where the origin of the problem is. The origin oftentimes is going to be either above or below the area. So if you have knee pain, for example, it may not necessarily be the knee specifically. It could be coming from the calves, or it could be coming from the hips, right? And that will have a direct impact on the way the knee functions. So just something to keep in mind. Another reason why it's good to do these types of exercises. Oh, I definitely found a spot right here. And again, breathe through this. Good. So let's move on. We're going to do the quadriceps. Again, an easily accessible area, so whether you're sitting on the floor, in a chair, or you can even do the standing too. If you are standing, maybe put more weight on the other leg so you can allow the muscle to, or the tissues to relax more. But again, just up and down. And I notice, like for myself, and for many others, but not everyone, the outside part of the quadriceps, so the front thigh but to the side, tends to be an area of focus for me. There we go, nice and easy. I'm going to go center. But definitely a huge benefit with the stick, again, is being able to adjust the pressure much more easily than if you're on top of a foam roller or a sports ball. Good, good. So I'm going to switch legs. So I want to bounce it out. If you do find that one side is giving you more of an issue than the other, then you can just focus on that one side. Right? Just because you do one side doesn't mean you have to get both in. Right? Or if it just means decreasing the amount of time on the quote-unquote good side versus the other side, that's fine. All right? Even going to like a 2-to-1 type of ratio, like 30 seconds on the good side, 60 seconds on the other side that needs more work, that's fine. Good, good. Very nice. So we'll stop right there. And move on to the inner thigh. So we were kind of there. We're pretty close to it. For the inner thigh, it's a little bit easier to have the knee bent because it's going to put you in a better position to reach that area. But these are muscles and tissues that we don't tend to put as much focus on when it comes to massaging, myofascial release, even stretching in many cases. So we need to make sure that this area is also addressed. And it could be a little more sensitive of an area. So don't be alarmed if you feel it more here than some of the other areas of the body. Oh. Good, good. I'm going to switch over to the other side. Now I know I've focused the discussion on helping improve like the fascial tissue, the muscular tissue, and allowing a release so that you have better movement in your joints. But it's not even just for that purpose, for flexibility, in which you can see improvement here. There was a study done a while ago that showed that like using the foam roller, for example, can help reduce like arterial stiffness. So like your arteries, sometimes arteries will get stiff over time, especially if you're not that physically active. And the foam roller can help decrease that stiffness, can also help improve, as a result, arterial function, or the way your arteries function with pumping blood out to your body or moving the blood to your body. And also can improve the vascular endothelial function, right? So the inner lining of your arteries, right? Those cells will function better too as a result. So even just from a vascular standpoint, this can be very, very beneficial for you. All right, so we're going to move on to the next group. But before we do that, again, let's have some water. You got to focus on that water. You need to stay hydrated. Okay. So hopefully we can get through everything today. But if you have a massage gun, I'm just going to show you a couple areas that you can use with this. So this one in particular, I believe we do have on our shop page. This is the Hyperice Hypervolt. You can certainly use this. And I like this a lot, especially when it comes to working on my calves. All right, so we can get the inside, outside, middle of the calves quite easily. And there are a variety of these available. So, just go and do some research and find which one may work best for you. But from here, I'm going to get it started. This one has 3 settings. Let's stay on the lowest setting. And what you would do, hopefully you can hear me okay with the over the gun. But you want this to flow over the region that you're targeting. I'm going to intensify it. There we go. And you don't want to dig this too much into that area. One, great way to kill the battery and the motor. But also, you might end up applying too much pressure into that area and overstressing the tissues. So again, we don't want to do that. Yeah. Yes, I've heard that happening. Yes, yeah. So, and these are not cheap to replace, so try not to break them. Although if you have, endless funds, then hey, be my guest. But so now I'm going to switch over to the other side and do the same thing. All right, so same region, still targeting the calves. And ideally, you're going to just kind of float over until you find a particular spot, right, that trigger point. Hang out there until you start to feel it release, and then you can continue on. And with the vibration technology, I will tell you firsthand, I noticed a significant difference in how much longer it takes to, how much quicker it takes to release, not longer. Good, I'm going to switch to the other side. Again, don't be surprised if you feel one side more so than the other. We are not symmetrical. We are very asymmetrical, just with our everyday movements and tasks that we tend to work on. So as you can tell, I found a spot. So another study that was done showed that doing the self-myofascial release, right, as we mentioned, can help improve range of motion in your joints because it can have an effect of allowing the muscles to lengthen through relaxation. But with that process, it will still allow very much the same force production, right? So if you're going to do a workout or whatever sport activity, your force production for those affected muscles won't change. That's what the study suggested, compared to maybe doing a lot of stretching before your workout, which could affect your force production. So just something to food for thought. Now, is self-myofascial release for everybody? No, it's not for everybody. But it's certainly a suggested technique that you can apply for recovery, for improving your workout capabilities, and even just everyday functioning. All right, so we'll stop with the calves, and let's see, what do we have next? Quadriceps, sitting on the floor in the chair, even standing if you want. Just again, running up and down. Just find those areas that are usually where those adhesions are found. So pull us up just a little bit. Just targeting small areas at a time. All right, I'll just move on to the other, because we've already hit the quadriceps a couple times. But just to give you an idea of how you can use this.
SWB audio capture not registered.
Good, good. So you can do the same thing for the hamstrings. All right, this can be a little trickier, so you just have to move to the side. And I do like this along with the like a sports ball for the hamstrings, because I think it's easier to find those spots that we're looking for. Good, and I'll just switch to the other side. So, you know your body better than anybody, right? So any particular area that is usually giving you an issue, spend more time there. You don't have to go through the entire body. Just really pick those trouble areas and really focus on those until you feel an improvement, which will take over time. It's not a one-day fix, but you do this consistently over time, over weeks, months, you should feel a difference. But also, don't forget to adjust your daily routine too, because your daily activities, your habits, will also impact how your body will continue to move. So if you do this, but you're still doing the same habits, you might be stuck in limbo there. So you want to be aware of how you're using your body throughout the day. But we'll all focus on those areas for today with the massage gun. The last thing I'll cover will be with so we're not going to go through all the tools today, and that's okay. I can go through that in another video. But if you have like a therapeutic cane, trigger point cane, what we'll do is, let's get the neck, right? It's an area that is very tense for many of us. So what we'll do is just kind of probe around until you find that spot, again, that trigger point. When you find that area, and you'll have to dig a little bit more, you'll notice some of these will have rounded points. Some of them will be a little pointier, so you can kind of get in there a little more intensely. Once you find that spot, you can just hang on that area so it releases. Breathe. Always breathe. I like to add in a little bit of a stretch to go with it, nice and gently, again, to lengthen the tissue. and then doing the same thing on the other side. So this is probably what I use this mostly for, but you can use it throughout your body. You know, even bottom of your foot, your back, more where the shoulder blades are on the back. So, and I can probably do another video completely just on this. So stay tuned. But that's all we have time for today using the various pieces of equipment. But I hope that was very helpful for you and that you do benefit from this. Any questions you have, feel free to reach out to us. You can do so through our Facebook page, even our Instagram page. But I hope you enjoy these techniques and have a wonderful day. Stay fit, stay healthy, and stay informed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I'm like, Bill's not going to the computer, so I just keep talking. Yeah, it was.